begin to speak. Okay, so good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's session from Caribbean Export. And just a few things to address. Very soon, the group will be divided into 2 tracks. Those that are more on the starting end of the e-commerce adoption spectrum, and those that are further advanced, maybe already have a website presence and would be more interested in issues like marketing, data analytics, and things like logistics and so on. And then, of course, the sessions would then reflect that division. So persons would then meet in their new cohort. So that's going forward. So when we send the information for you to respond to, so that you could be divided into groups, please respond as quick as possible. Second, on the matter of those of you who have to complete the form to select your 3 top platforms, please do so as quick as possible, because then that would inform how I proceed with the budget. And that is a process in itself, that budgeting process. Just to clarify, of course, you have international platforms and you have regional platforms. Caribbean Export's only interest, it's twofold. We want you to have access to a good platform, so you're free to select wherever you can. However, Caribbean Export has an interest in developing regional platforms, a regional ecosystem, but you're not obligated. So we give everybody that we were able to identify in the region or related to the region an opportunity to pitch, but this is not an endorsement of any of the platforms on Caribbean Export's behalf. It's just an opportunity to, in an equitable way, provide a medium for persons to pitch their platforms. So Caribbean Export does not in any way endorse any particular platform. Of course, as I said before, our only interest is that we would love to have some of the regional platforms included, because that way we build the regional ecosystem to support not only e-commerce adoption, but digital transformation in general. And that's the overall objective of this project and all of the digital transformation projects that we are working on currently and our other development partners are working on. So that is what where that is. So just those 2 things. If you haven't filled them out as yet, please go ahead. And not everybody has to respond. Those of you who are satisfied that you have your own website and that's consistent with your strategy, fine. There's no need for you to. You could indicate that you're not interested in having access to a platform. That would be fine. So it's not intended that everybody would apply. If it's part of your own strategy that you definitely want to have access, fine. And just to give you a bit of how the back end of this would work. Now, the reason why we need the data that you would provide on your preferences is that then we have to now look at what you say, and then we have to now negotiate with the more popular platforms according to your choices to see what are the terms, because we have a fixed budget for this. So it's possible that some of you may not get your first preference because the terms and so on for access is just way out, except you're willing to still go ahead and we provide you with the maximum budget allowable to each person, and then you're willing to fund the difference. But our intention is to look at your responses, look at the more popular selections, and try to negotiate with each platform for a reasonable package, because we have a fixed budget. So that is how that will work. So to recap, please fill out the form if you're interested. Only those entities who see access to a platform as part of their strategy should do so. If you feel it's not necessary for you, then you're not obligated to do so. Caribbean Export does in no way endorse any of the platforms, but make sure that they give everybody equitable access to pitch their platforms. And the budget is finite, so your top preference, you may not get it. It depends on, one, the terms and conditions that the platforms offer us with respect to our definite budget and our ability to pay. However, if you want to supplement the access to your preference, if it's beyond the maximum that we're able to fund, then we can negotiate to let you have the maximum, and then you pay the difference to have that access. Any questions on this?
Hey, Philip, Tamara has a question in the chat.
Huh?
Tamara has a question in the chat.
Oh, in the chat, sorry. Okay,
Yeah, hey there, how are you? I can ask. I mean, it's not related to what you're speaking of, so I wanted to give moments, but if you're ready to take the question now, that's great. I know you had mentioned earlier on about a digital advisory board, and you would ask if there were any interested participants here, and I just wanted to get any updates on that, if anything had moved forward with that. We'd sent some emails. I sent you an email regarding that very early on in this process. So do you have any updates?
Yeah, Tamara, you're right. No updates so far, because this is not related to VEAP. This is related to another project called the Caribbean Digital Transformation Institute. And the reason why I haven't heard back from us is because we're waiting to take our digital checkup tool live. We're testing and debugging now, after which everything will be in place to have the first advisory committee meeting, at which point you'll be advised of your participation or not. But thanks for keeping tabs on that, Tamara.
Absolutely, thanks for the information.
Any question relative to access to the platform, or dividing you into tracks?
So I'm Sean here, morning. You said
Hi, Sean.
the division into tracks will be based on, just repeat that one more time for me, please.
Right. Okay, so we understand that the different entities would, so digital adoption, and in this case, e-commerce adoption is on a spectrum from people who have zero online presence or no website, no social media, to those who may already have an existing presence, and their main concern is acceleration, especially in terms of things like marketing, data analytics, customer engagement, logistics, and so on. Yeah, so the master trainers with Caribbean Expo, we would devise a very quick form to separate the cohort into two tracks. Those who are further along the left-hand side or at the beginning of the spectrum, and those who are further along the spectrum. And so you would have some clear indicators as to know where to place yourself. But you do so by answering some questions. But if at the end of the day, you really think that you should be in one track as opposed to another, then of course you can indicate that.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome. Okay, and just on a related matter, not it's related to digital transformation, but not inherently VEAP. If any of you, including BSOs, are aware of digital startups in your own network please send me an email with the details of these startups. There's a project called the European Union, Latin America, and the Caribbean Digital Accelerator Project, where we want to identify digital startup companies in the region and provide them with the funds necessary to accelerate them to the point where they become investor ready, to create mergers or partnerships with larger companies in Europe or Latin America in general. So if you're aware of, in your network of digital startups, that is their core business is in the area of digital, any aspect of digital, please send me their information. That'll be very useful. Okay, then, thank you so much. I'm going to turn over to our master trainers. Have a great day. I'll be in and out of the meeting as usual, because there's so many different projects happening at the same time. I'm so sorry I can't pay full attention at every session, but I do listen to the recordings. Thank you.
Good morning, one and all. Welcome back to another session. Today's session is not as exciting as the last couple of weeks, but it's necessary. It's the management of your e-commerce business, right? I'm going to try to get through this as quickly as possible because we have some house cleaning that we need to do. Over the last couple of weeks, we've had some issues, well, not some issues, but we've been focused primarily on retail business. And this week, I want to give a significant amount of time to the service industry so that they could get in here and address some of the issues that they've been having or the lack of support that they've been having in this session, or in these sessions. All right, so I'm going to jump right into the e-commerce management portion of this. Hopefully I can get through that within the hour, and then we could address some of the other issues. And one of the things that I noticed that we've had a few participants who have been fully engaging in this session. Right, and I guess everyone knows those people by name by now. Shan, full participation, Tamara, full participation. We need more of that. So I'm going to try to pick on some of the people who have not been saying much and get you to get more involved in this session. As I said, this session is not as engaging as usual, so I'm going to try to make it as engaging as possible. All right. Let me know if you see my screen.
Yep.
Excellent. All right, so we're going to start off with e-commerce operations management.
Gilbert, can it go in presentation mode? I'm seeing his slides. It's larger on my screen.
Thank you very much, Philip.
Yeah, thanks.
It's better? Is it better?
Yeah, it's better. It's better for me. Thank you.
Wonderful. All right, again, so basic things. These things seem very basic. And I know what Clayton has been talking about over the last couple of weeks is about growing your business. What I try to engage in is keeping your business going and keep it going efficiently. So this one applies to whether you have products or services, right? It is important that when you do your product management, let me just go through the slide. Product management involves the process of adding, updating, and removing products from your e-commerce store. This section provides an overview of products management process and includes examples, scenarios, process. Sourcing the product. Critical. We spoke about this in our pricing and in our supply chain sessions a few weeks ago. I'm bringing all those together under these slides now. So it's important that you have reliable sources for your products, right? And that your product, the selection of your products, meet the standard that you're trying to bring to the market. or the standard that aligns with your company. Product listing and creation. Right. We spoke about this earlier again as well, when especially later, and I know he lamented on this, your customers online don't have the ability to touch and feel your products. So it is important that when you list in your products or when you're creating that listing, that your product description are well put together. Your product images, I usually ask for product images to be engaging. So you don't just, if you let's say you are selling dresses, or we have a deodorant, we have someone that's doing deodorants. It is good when you list this product, or when you present this product, you present them alongside someone using them. So if you're doing beans or you're doing barbecue sauce, you have images of someone doing a barbecue. You have joyful images of people doing barbecues. You have someone wearing your clothing, the clothing that you've produced in a joyful manner. Right? A prime example of this is alcohol. You seldom see an alcohol ad, right, without people in it. And usually those people are always sober and having fun. And so the idea is the same. Whenever you list in products, you have to be very creative and very descriptive of those products. Pricing and promotions. We did pricing a few weeks ago. So you have to take into consideration your source and all the process in getting that product from your supplier to your consumer. When you're pricing, take into consideration your labor, your risk, your shipping, your promotions. Inventory management, I have another portion in this, that this is a critical portion to your product. So after you get your product in stock, how do I inventory it on the way in? Do I have a scanner? Do I have a scanning system? Whatever system you have in place, you have to have some sort of an inventory management so that you know what is in stock. Example, an e-commerce business sources a new product and adds it to their store, creating a new product listing with accurate product information, pricing, and images. This is the importance of product management. Now, the other thing is your products, if you're producing products, or if you're sourcing a product from a supplier, those things may change regularly. So it is important that you stay on top of what those descriptions are, especially if you're making your own product. I could imagine somebody like Roland who is creating binders, diaries and the sort. Whenever he makes a new one, he's going to have to update the process, the type of paper that he uses for that particular binder, the artwork on it, tell a story. Those things help to sell your product. Example 2, an e-commerce business runs a promotional campaign for a specific product, offering discount and to customers who purchase the product within a specific period of time. Again, we're going to go into another aspect of it, which is inventory management and how it ties into the second example, first in, first out, last in, last out, or things that are close to you're planning to change your product images, you're planning to change your product description, and you want to get whatever product you currently have in stock out the door. So how do I tie this into inventory management? Sorry. So there's a number of ways of doing this, and we typically, right now I know you have small businesses who just don't have the resources to have proper, like an automated inventory management system in place. So it's a pen and paper system. Now this creates a lot of risk for you in terms of loss of inventory. But it's better that, go ahead.
When you finish with that point, Kathy has a question in the chat.
Okay. Yeah, the number inventory management software. I have a supplementary document with links that I'm going to send when these slides go out to you guys. You're going to have a supplementary document that has long links to a number of software that you can use, including some Excel spreadsheets that you can use alongside this. Let me find Patty's question. This is Kathy's question. Good morning. I do clothing. I've had feedback where I was told to make my background plain as not to distract the garment. In light of what you said, would you disagree? Yes. Right. Now you can take that suggestion and you could look around the internet and you could see, go to other websites that's doing clothing, whether it's Macy's, whether it's Gap, whoever it is. You just take a look at how they display their items. There are some instances, if it's a static item, where it's a white background, it's a plain background. But then those are static, right? And this is typically, I wouldn't want to say a more archaic way of displaying your products. More and more you would see websites who actually have models that actually move in. I know if you go to, let me see if I can pull up one right now. Hold on. I'll show you, and I'll give you an example. Bear with me, let me pull this up. All right, take a look at this display of products from Nike. Yeah, this one is covered by a white background. Cool. But if you notice how it's changing, where we actually have motion and interaction with the product. So the whole idea, this idea to the left has been in existence for a while, but now we're moving towards this, where there's actual motion and interaction with the products. It gives as I said, for me as a consumer looking at this, I can't touch, I can't feel, but this is a better representation of what the product does, how it moves, and the comfort that it offers. See the idea behind it. Now, for Nike, they have chosen to do a white background, but there are other backgrounds that you could use with this and other solutions that you could use with this. Let me see, there's no questions. Okay. All right, Kathy, I hope that answers your question.
Yes, thank you.
All
and
right.
it has given me so many ideas. I've never actually seen one where there's movement. So I'm really excited.
Yeah, let me see, I can try and find you another couple then. And one of the things that we do is, again, let's say you're doing barbecue sauces, you would have something with someone actually pouring the barbecue sauce and the joy of eating a piece of the chicken with the product by the side and all of that stuff, or whatever you're barbecuing. Again, it's you offering some interactivity with a product that is supposed to be static. You have to be creative in this space. All right. All right, sorry about that. So let's get back to it. So product information management software and price optimization software. You guys have gotten the price optimization spreadsheets that I've offered. So you can apply that when it comes to product management. Thanks, Joseph. Thanks for that comment. Inventory management. Again, this is probably one of the most critical aspects of running your e-commerce store. Failure in this aspect of the store could mean catastrophic failure of your business, period. All right. I have 2 slides in this. This is how important this is. Inventory involves the following step: monitoring inventory levels, forecasting demands, and reordering products when necessary. Monitoring the inventory levels, right? This is not just so that you can fulfill orders. It's so that you can monitor loss. Products tend to disappear when you don't monitor them, when you're not sure what I have in stock, how much I have remaining. Yesterday, I had 14 pairs of shoes. Today, I have 12, and I did not sell any. So who had access to this stuff? All right, I'm online. It does my inventory management system tie in with my online platform and my e-commerce site. So if I sell one, automatically it deducts from my inventory management system. It's automated. Or as soon as I sell one, I go to my spreadsheet and I said I reduce that count by X amount. But then it goes even further. It goes into knowing exactly which one you sold. So you know which items are your big sellers. Inventory management is critical to any aspect of your business, whether it's online or brick and mortar. But online, it's even more so. Because it's like if you're running a brick and mortar store, you can look on your shelf and you could say, or you could go in the back and you could say, well, I don't have this, before you make a promise to the customer. But online, after you process an order and you say, yes, I have it and I can ship this to you. And then when you go to look for the product to pick and pack, it's not there. Now you have to engage your customers and let them know, here's what it is. I don't have this product anymore. I may be getting it in the next 2 to 3 weeks. So you have a disappointing customer who would probably have paid for the product already. Now you have to issue a refund. So keeping abreast of what your inventory is and what the inventory level is critical. As you begin to run low on particular products, do I have a reordering point automated that says, oh, you gotta excuse me, I have a mouse that keeps jumping around through my slides. Yes, so do I have a point in my inventory when I drop below 50%? I need you to reach out to suppliers, or I need you to alert me so that I can reach out to suppliers to start reordering. What exactly am I reordering? How soon am I getting them? Example, during the holiday sale, an e-commerce business receive an influx of orders for a popular product. To prevent overselling, the business needs to monitor inventory levels and reorder products to ensure they have enough inventory to meet demands. Again, this goes beyond just having products and making sales. It's how you're constantly engaging with your customers in a satisfying manner. Yes, I have the products and they can receive them. Another example, an e-commerce business sells perishable products. This is critical again. You sell perishable products. You do not want to have excess of what you can sell of these products. They're going to spoil and it's going to be a loss. Products needs to be ensured that they have enough inventory on hand to meet customers' demand while minimizing waste. When I was creating this slide, I'm going to give Shan a plug here. All right, Shan, working with you over the last couple of weeks, I keep thinking of how invaluable or how extremely valuable your service is, and in the number of sectors that you could inject your services. Scenarios like these, you could work with a number of small businesses when it comes to waste management and monitoring, especially when it comes to picking and packing. In the packing area, where you could advise businesses on what are some of the best packing material in order to reduce wastage, or how do I pack to reduce wastage, right? We can talk about that after, Shan, because I noticed that you, Leoy was saying that you requested additional time with me. Mm-hmm. Okay. Inventory management methods, automated inventory tracking system. That's typical. That's what we use in our platform. So we have our inventory management tied in with our point of sale system and our branch management. So whether you have 10 stores that are brick and mortar and you have an online post and an online store, we tie all of the inventory together. We know exactly what is where and how much. And when a sale takes place in store in Port of Spain, it reflects on your e-commerce site. Or when it takes place on your e-commerce site, it is reflected in from whatever store that the customer chooses to pick it up, or whatever store you choose to ship it from. These things are critical. It frees you up. At the end of the session, I have a sample time management, which I think is very, very important, because a lot of this, again, is time management. You have to manage your time and how you deal with this aspect of your business. The more of this that is automated, the more time you're freed up to think creatively and grow your business. So barcode and scanners. So even if you're a small business and you're making dresses, go back to Cathy. There are tags that you can put on your dresses, right? That are barcode scannable. So after you've made a dress, and we double up on the purpose of those barcodes. Those barcodes can be used for authentication to say, yes, this was made by Cathy in Barbados. And you could list a number of other things that goes into that dress from that barcode. But then also you can scan and say, well, I made X amount of these and I know exactly where they are. I shipped X amount to a retailer because I'm wholesaling these dresses or shoes or a barbecue sauce. So tagging them, RFID tags goes into bigger products. If you're a furniture maker, you could do RFID tags in your products. If you do electronics, bigger items, you could stick an RFID tag because this is typically more expensive. Demand forecasting, again, this goes back into monitoring what your inventory level are, and you know, and historical data that goes into this. So over the last year or over this particular season, this is the item that has been selling most around this time and is being bought by this particular demographic. So I know come next year, rainy seasons, I know I need to buy a particular type of umbrellas or particular type of water boots or wallies. I know to come Christmas, I need to buy a particular type of cake because it's a great reseller. I need to reach out to my supplier and say, hey, these cakes have been selling exponentially. I need to reorder. I need to have these ready for particular dates. So demand forecasting is important when it comes to inventory management. Now, a whole slide here on different types of inventory management and inventory managed tracking systems. Various inventory tracking methods are available, including first in, first out. Simply means the products that you got in first. When an order has been placed and you're fulfilling those orders, those are the items that are out first. You could understand the reason behind this. Last in, last out. First expiry, first out. First in, first out assumes that the products are sold first, while last in assumes that the newest products are sold first. First expiry, again, I'm hoping that you guys on the first expiry means that the products that are going to expire first, you try to get them out to your store as quickly as possible. Strategies for management, for managing inventory levels. Several strategies can be implemented for managing inventory levels, including just in time, safety stock, reorder point, meaning, okay, so just in time mean as soon as I get them, they're out. Or I could just be a drop shipper. I get an order, it's out. There's nothing, it's just in time. Or I get items just in time that as soon as the order is received, they're out the door. I don't have to have a significant warehouse space for this. I have additional stock just in case. Right? In case something happens, hurricane, a disaster of any sort, I have additional stock just in case. Monitoring reorder points. So this is often done better with automated systems. I drop below 50% and automatically my system reorders. Inventory forecasting method involves predicting future demand based on historical data, market trends, and other factors. Various methods include moving average seasonal forecasting, trending analysis, can be used for forecasting inventory levels. Warehousing and storage management. Now, I spoke about this about 2 weeks ago when we talk about using your brick and mortar space as your warehouse, right? We use the word warehouse and we think it's this massive shed where you have shelves upon shelves of stuff. But your warehouse could be a room within your house. If you're doing a micro business, it can be your store, your storefront, where you're using whatever your shelf space as your warehouse space as well. There are applications out there that you can use to do that. You can use a spreadsheet to do that as well. Right? This is relatively simple, but it keeps you organized. It reduces the amount of time you're running around looking for products that you may or may not have. Right? Picking and packing becomes significantly easier if you learn to warehouse the space from which you operate in. Again, I know the word sounds like if you're using a massive space, but it's misleading. You can digitize and you can warehouse just about any space. You can warehouse the space in a van, your delivery van, on a cargo ship. It's a matter of organizing in a logical manner where you place your products so that it's easier for you to pick and pack and ship. Order fulfillment. This I go into a lot deeper in my logistics. Okay, let's see, we have a few questions. Let me address them first. Okay, no. All right. Order fulfillment, I address a lot deeper in the logistic aspect of this session because it covers returns as well. Again, a lot of this stuff seems very simple, but unless you're organized, time management, and you have a lot of these processes written out so that you follow them, and if you're not in place, so the person who is substituting for you can follow, this can become chaotic. And if orders aren't fulfilled efficiently, then again, you lose customers. You may have to do refunds, or you may have to do returns because the order that was placed is not what was fulfilled. All of process of receiving, processing, and shipping customers' order. Order fulfillment process involves the following steps: receiving, processing an order, picking and packing, shipping the product to customer. The order management software, shipping software, and warehouse management. A lot of these processes tied together. This is why they follow in this particular order that I'm presenting them to you, right? So you have your product management, you have your inventory management, now you have your order management after an order is placed, or order fulfillment. Customer places an order for a product and requests expedited shipping. The e-commerce business needs to ensure that the product is picked, packed, and shipped quickly to meet customers' expectations. Now, because of the pace at which e-commerce tends to drive your business, having a process in place is really, really important. Having your space properly warehoused and your product sorted efficiently helps to increase your efficiency so that you can fulfill these orders in an expeditious manner. An e-commerce business sells customizable products and needs to ensure that the products are manufactured and shipped within a reasonable time frame. Customer engagement. Again, another critical stage of your e-commerce operations management. It is important that you engage, you are proactive in your engagement. This particular slide talks about being responsive. The next slide is talking about being engaging. So before you have an issue coming back from your customer that says, well, I have an issue with a particular product, you start that engagement prior to this, right? But let's start here. The customer engagement process: receive and respond to customers' inquiries, addressing customers' concerns, and resolving customers' issues. Sometimes you would be surprised to see how simple this is, right? A customer may just want to engage with you, have a conversation. And unless you're there on the other end, this could become an issue where it tarnishes your business. It could be a simple thing as, oh, I ordered a particular product, I haven't received it. But somewhere in the back of this customer's head, they're assuming that they should have received it 2 days ago. But you have sent out tracking information. And you have a record of all of that information. You have your order management, where you could go back and you can track and see what was ordered, what was picked, what was packed. And you have a conversation with this customer and you say, listen, we picked the products, we shipped the products, here's your product, and here's the tracking number. Your product should be delivered on the 31st, not on the 28th. If you do not receive this product by the 29th or the 31st, please get back to me and we would address the issue. Simpler communication sometimes. So hence, we put different tools in place so that you can engage. WhatsApp numbers, email, live chat, social media. So we get on here and we see customer engagement methods and tools, customer relation management software. This is another thing that I advise. Every engagement that you have with a customer, as much as possible, document that conversation. It might be a notebook, and Philip called. This is what he called about. This is his order number. This is our fulfillment order receipt. This is the tracking number. You have all that details written down. The next time Philip calls back, you can go back into your system and say, well, Philip, we spoke to you last week and we understand that the product is taking a little bit longer than you anticipated. Here's what we're willing to do for you. Or you can say, Philip, last time we spoke, this is the conversation we had, just to verify that we're still in the same place. Monitoring your social media is important. Now, you go back to, you look at all of these things that you have to do in terms of e-commerce operations management, and you're like, it's demanded. This is why time management, I'm going to say that now, and I'm going to say it again, time management is important. A lot of the business here are mom and pop shop, they're micro business, small business. They're not even small in the international level. A lot of the small businesses in the region are micro businesses on the international level. You do not have the resources to be disorganized. Right? So you have to manage your time carefully. So you put as much as this in place, of these methods that I'm talking to you about now, in place, so that you're much more efficient at managing your business online. And these are not strictly for online. These translate and can be applied for your brick and mortar as well. Critical portion of this, you're now online. This is not just your brick and mortar that you're managing. You now have to manage your website if you have a website of your own. And we suggest that everyone has a website of their own, right? So website management involves the process of maintaining, updating, optimizing an e-commerce store website. Process, website design and development. So you've done the design, the development. You've gone through the process with the developer and ensure that it is what you want. Content creation, right? This is usually heavy on you. That product description, those images, those are content that are going on your website. If you're doing a blog, that's going on that website. If you're providing a service, how often do you update that content? I can imagine in the service industry, or if you're selling products, maybe seasonally. If you're an event promoter, maybe every time there's an event, you have to update that content. Right? But it's important that you stay on top of this so that your site stays relevant, so that your customers remain engaged. Performance monitoring. Where am I? Ooh, all right. Performance monitoring is critical. You have to monitor the performance of your site. And this is, you see big sites that go down. Google went down, Cisco site went down, Amazon went down. Often when there's a lot of people visiting your website, if you have a product that is in demand, or you're having a sale and there's a rush to your website, you have to make sure that your website can perform under those pressures. This is something that is usually out of your your skill set or something that you do not want to be responsible for. So you ensure that the people or the places that are hosting your website provide you with a service level agreement that says, yes, your website is going to be up 99.9% of the time, or 99.99% of the time. You're going to have to send your report regularly to ensure that, yes, this website, these are the tests that we have done, and the website can withstand the traffic that is coming to us. Website security and maintenance. Again, I try to mitigate this risk by handing off this aspect of my site to third-party vendors. Have them monitor and maintain my website when it comes to the security. There are companies out there like Cloudflare. Again, I'm going to send you supplementary documents with service providers who provide excellent services with this and who offer you some guarantee. If your site gets hacked, if your site goes down, there's an insurance policy that would pay you. Example, an e-commerce business updates their website and product pages with new images, description, and prices to ensure accuracy and relevance. I forgot to mention prices before, but it's here in the example. So you have to ensure that the prices on your site reflects numbers that ensure some level of profitability in your business. You can't just change your prices or your cost of your products change, and you don't reflect those changes within the prices on your website. There's a number of things that is happening here all at once. This is this is just management system number 5, mentioned 4. And you have to pay attention to these things as an e-commerce business owner. This one is massive. So as much as this stuff that you could hand off to third party, it is going to cost you. Right? I think Cloudflare does have a free option, but the paid options I think run you like $20 US a month, which are great. And then the even more enhanced versions are significantly more expensive. So those are levels of protection that are worth paying for. Website management tools, a content management system. So if you're managing your own website, you've chosen not to hire someone like Leighton, or you hired Leighton to build your website, but you want to maintain it yourself, you're going to need him to build your content management system so that you can update your product images, your product pricing, and your product description whenever you so choose. Analytics and software, website analytics software and services. Leighton spoke at length about these last week. We have Google Analytics. We have Hotjar. We have a number of companies that does this. Again, this allows you to gather more data on your site so that you could see where your visitors are coming from. You can monitor your KPIs when it comes to marketing. Website security and software. Again, we have sites like Cloudflare. Cloudflare is probably the most popular one and probably the most cost efficient service out there. I would suggest that if you run in your own website, you take a look at what they offer. I'm believing that I skipped a slide. I'm not sure. I did. You guys, I'm going to go over this slide quickly. Again, it's one of the most important slides here because I believe in customer engagement. A customer engagement plan should have a plan for this. Again, you can take this slide, create your own plan based on the headings of these slides, and these different points. A strategy of building and maintaining strong relationship with customers with the goal of increasing customers' loyalty, satisfaction, and retention. I go a little bit further and I want to make my customer engagement plan, the eventual goal is to turn my customers into evangelists. I want them to go out there and talk about our business, of how great we are, how great our products are, right? Define your customer engagement goal. I just told you what was mine, turn my customers into evangelists. This might include increasing customer satisfaction, reducing churn, driving repeat purchase. Once you have identified your goal, you can create metrics to measure success, your KPIs. Develop your customer engagement strategy. This might include regular newsletters, running social media campaigns, offering loyalty rewards, determining which channels and tactics most effective for your audience. Create a journey map. Customer journey map outlines various touch points your customers have with your brand, from initial awareness to a post-purchase follow-up. So again, this ties into your order management process, right? So I know, again, I know Philip ordered this particular shirt. I can follow up with Philip and I can say, I don't know how many of you guys are on shop on Amazon, but I get these emails all the time from vendors on Amazon. They say, oh, well, you bought our light. How is it performing for you? Are you satisfied? If you aren't satisfied, please reach out to us and let us know. It's a constant engagement. I feel as if this person valued my buying the product from them. I feel as if this is a company that I can go back to and I can buy another product because they care about how this product is performing. And these things are not expensive. These are emails. You can do email letters. You can do email blasts to your customers once they've purchased a product. But you need to keep a consistent record of who bought what, so that you're not sending an email for Philip about buying a shirt when he actually bought a shoe. Like, time management is important. Staying on top of the processes are important. Collecting and analyzing data. As we go down, as we went back, we look at website management and talk about analytics. Ties in here with your customer engagement. To understand your customer needs and preferences, you need to collect and analyze data. This might include website analytics, customer feedback survey, or social media monitoring. Critical. These are critical to maintaining the business and growing your business. Putting up feedback. Every time we send out a product, there's a feedback that goes out to it. If you wish to leave a feedback, use the link. Right? That link takes you to a site where you talk about, where you begin to rate the product, where the person begins to rate the product or the service, if they so choose. Implementing customer engagement tactics. This might include creating personalized content, running targeted email campaigns. What does that mean? So I have a particular group of customers who they're my luxury client. I'm not going to send them the same email that I send to my customers who are buying on the low end of the market. I'm going to engage them in a whole different campaign, offering exclusive promotion to their most loyal customers. It doesn't say to everyone, to my most loyal. And how do you monitor who are your most loyal customers? All right. Measure and refine your approach. So based on your KPIs, you look at, okay, based on my KPIs, here's the feedback that I got. Here's the data that I have analyzed. Now I need to change it because it isn't working. I'm not accomplishing my evangelist goal. Here's what I might need to change. I might need to do more giveaway. I might need to give these particular customers access or admin access to my social media page so that they could actually give them a link to post on my social media page after I approve it. So it makes them feel as if they're part of our solutions. Any quick? Okay, somebody has their hand up. Joseph.
Can you just zoom in a bit to the information for me, please? I'm not seeing the words.
I'm sorry. All right, so I'll do that. And again, I'm going to send out these slides to you so that you're going to have them up close and personal, and you can follow them along at your, or you follow along at your own pace as well. Let me get back to where I was. Yeah. See, like I just bought this mouse and it's just jumping around to the document, but for some strange reason, they're only doing it in PowerPoint. So I'm going to have to reach out to customer service, engage a company, see if they would replace it or if they would tell me how to fix it. There we go. All right, so after website, we have payment processing and fraud prevention. Again, a lot of this process, for the most part, may seem out of your hand. I know in the Caribbean, we struggle with payment solutions, but we do have a few in place. We have First Atlantic, we have VEAP, and there are more coming up and coming around. Getting this in place is really, really important. There is no e-commerce business really if you cannot process online payments efficiently and safely, securely. Accessing payments securely, identifying and preventing fraudulent transaction, and ensuring compliance with regulatory requirements. These are the parts that are totally in your hand, right? You have to prove to payment gateways that the data that you're collecting from your customer is secure, that you're in compliance with what the laws are in regards to collecting and securing customer data. Example, an e-commerce business accepts payment through multiple channels, including credit card and digital wallet. They use encryption and tokenization to ensure that the payment data is secure and PCI compliant. I run a pretty big business, a pretty large business. Most of this I hand off to a third party. All right, whoever my payment gateway supplier is, and you can see it in the bottom of my slides, 0.632 and 631. I hand them off to a third party, but there's a significant, the PCI compliance. Every year, they will send me a document or a link to a document that takes me about, I can tell you, I cannot fill it out in one sitting. It usually takes me 2 to 3 days to complete this document, just to say that I am in compliance. The products that I'm selling, the data that I'm collecting, and the way that consumers interact with my website is compliant with the payment industry standards. If I don't fill out this form, they will cut off my services. It means I could no longer process payments online until I get back to the point where I'm actually filling this form. They go through all their checks again to ensure that I am compliant. The initial compliance process takes some time. You don't want to fall out of compliance because, again, it's going to take time. It's going to mean downtime on your website. It means you're not processing payments on your website. So you have to, when you're selling online, spend some time managing this aspect of your business or monitoring when your input and requirements are needed. Yes, I hand it off to a third party, but I'm still responsible. The risk still lies with me to ensure that I follow all the regulations. So the payment gateway software, you would not be responsible. That would have to come, if you're doing the Caribbean, that would come from First Atlantic. Fraud prevention, they would also present that. A number of the payment providers in the Caribbean tend to charge you extra for fraud protection. The risk, I think, is worth it. Because I'd rather know that I am compliant, that I have the fraud prevention software that I need in place, and that I'm not being shut down. Then there are things that are outside the purview of the payment gateway providers. Website, computer updates, virus protection, malware protection. Those are on you to ensure that your system in your store, if you have, more than likely you will have computers in your store, are up to date. Access to those machines are limited to people and only the people who are required to use them. I had a client here in New York, someone, I do a lot of volunteer work just for small businesses here in New York, predominantly Caribbean businesses. And this guy ran a shipping agency, helping set it up. And every other week he'd call me and complain about something is not working on the computer. Only to find out after school he have his kids playing games on the computers. Me going there was time taking. It took a lot of time to repair whatever damages they would have done. But the exposure that they created with the games that they downloaded and the malware that they downloaded, that was a whole other level. So if you have kids or if you have assistants that are using the equipment in your office space, if you have workers who are coming in and are using your Wi-Fi, you have to put policies in place. You have to put protection mechanism in place that prevents them from downloading malware, from visiting sites that are unsavory on your network. This jeopardizes your business. This put your business at risk and can jeopardize your business. I think I had this conversation with the BSOs in our last session. Like there's some places that I go and I don't use my computer in a cafe. Never. If I'm using the Wi-Fi in a cafe, you better know it's probably for checking directions, never for doing banking or anything that is financially related or anything that is security related, anything that's health related, none of that stuff. In my business, there's two separate networks. There's one for the guests that never touches anything that is related to my business. Again, all this is part of your management, e-commerce management process. It is a lot. I'm just at 6. Hence, I'm asking you to create systems, create processes, use software where possible. Analytics and reporting. Again, we spoke about this earlier and the importance of it. I could remember in one of our previous sessions, someone was saying they don't understand the importance, or they just couldn't get the importance of having this information. This information determines the rate of growth of your business, if it does grow at all. Right? You have your vision, you have your business plan, you have this idea of where you want to take this company, what you want to earn from it. You have to measure these things. You have to put KPIs in place and you have to monitor it all the way, day in, day out. Whether you're failing, whether you're succeeding, whether you're selling, why you're not selling, what products are being moved, who is buying it, when is it being moved. Now that determines, how do I control my supply chain? How much do I need to order? When do I need to order? So there's efficiency, there's profit, there's return on investment that's being calculated through your analytics and reporting. And you need a system that is going to give you this language, give you the analytics in a language that you understand. At the end of the day, you are a business person. And the reports that you're looking for must speak to you in numbers. Business numbers, okay. Product A is selling 10,000 pieces. It is being bought by demographics of Black males between the age of 25 and 45. This now tells you, how do I spend my marketing dollar? If this is a demographics that's already, my product's already reaching, do I need to spend my marketing dollars there? Is there not a product that I'm developing for another demographic that I want to push? Do I now reallocate my marketing dollars to that demographic? Or my demographics, my target market are white females between the age of 21 and 30. And I'm marketing to them, but this product just will not move. It's not moving. Do I discontinue the product? Do I change my marketing tactics? Analytics drives business. It drives everything these days. We have been using analytics for a long time. But we now have it in a format where we can do the equations and change our strategies on paper and justify why we change our strategies on paper. Even your interactions with people on a daily basis, or your interactions with loved ones and families, and oh, am I going to continue dealing with this person in the future? Am I going to, what is my relationship like with this person in the future? Do I trust them? Do I don't trust them? Do I invest more of my time? Analytics. As you engage with people, you begin to measure, you begin to analyze. It's the same thing here, all right? Except this is done in systems. And there's a record, it's historical data. There are trends being set. You analyze those trends. You probably analyze them with the help of your accountant, your marketing person, your suppliers. You want to change your style. You're looking at your dresses. I've made this particular dress. Now it's beginning to not be as popular. The sales are dropping. What do I do? Do I change the style? Do I change the colors? You do feedbacks. All right, you do market research. But all this is now based on numbers that you have collected and are being reported to you in a manner that you can justify. And we get on here, we see, for example, an e-commerce business wants to identify which products are driving the most revenue. They use analytics tools to collect and analyze data on products sales and generate reports that show which products are performing best. And we have another one, which is completely different, but it's still based on analytics. An e-commerce business wants to optimize their website for mobile users. They use analytics tools to collect and analyze data on the website traffic, to use the behavior and use the insight to make changes to their website that improve mobile user experience. This particular one is very, very important in the Caribbean. The Caribbean probably has one of the highest mobile users penetration. Most people visit website through by the mobile device. So your website have to be optimized for being used by mobile devices. Analytics. Who is monitoring your software? That website management, we go back to that now. As the applications, as the mobile user of the application and the Android application updated or the iOS application updates, is my website still optimized on this mobile device? On these mobile devices? You have to have systems in place that is going to monitor that. Sorry. Okay, I took the time to just to put together a sample daily and weekly time management that you can use. That you can use in its current format, just as a guideline, right? So this is typically when I get up and I want to manage my day in front of this computer and I'm optimized. 8 to 9, I check my emails and respond to urgent inquiries. Review sales and revenue metrics from the previous day. And typically you do something like this with your team, if you have a team, if you have a partner in the space, so that with the way that you look at those numbers, align not just between the both of you, align with the goals of the organization or the goals of that particular campaign. Check inventory levels and update product listing as needed. Check your social media channels. You take a break. And although it says 8 to 9, I am not as rigid as that. I take my breaks in between. Responding to the emails may not take as long. Right? This is why I'm saying this is a guideline. You adjust those based on your situation. Create a schedule for social media posting for that day. Again, once you're in the online business, regular online posting becomes critical for your business growth. Work on marketing campaign and advertising strategies, review website analytics and make changes to the website as needed, or you send those changes over to the parties responsible for your website. Now, those changes could take a couple of days. So even if you send them over today, they may not be implemented immediately. Most of what you're planning here or what you're doing here is creating plans for implementation at a later date. Weekly, you can say Monday, we're going to conduct meetings. I don't want to have to read through this in detail. Review sales number and metrics from the previous week and set goals for the current week. Tuesday, check inventory levels, order from suppliers if necessary. So you have days that you assign. Because again, we go back to what we were speaking about earlier in this session and a couple of sessions ago, how critical it is, time management. A lot of you are small, micro businesses, family members, or you have a family that you have to take care of. You have a life outside of your business. So how you manage your time efficiently so that your business continues to afford you a certain lifestyle is important. How you manage your time so that you maintain a healthy relationship with your business and outside your business is critical. Create a plan, stick to it as much as possible. Make adjustments over time. As I said, I have from 8 to 9, I'm checking emails. But then if I'm running a micro business, I might have 2 or 3 emails. I might have no emails for that particular day. All right, that would worry me because it means that I'm not engaging as much as I need to. All right? But that might only take half an hour. So you make adjustments to your calendar, make adjustments to your schedule. Time management is critical. You have to be as efficient as possible with your time. All right, that is my session on e-commerce management, operations management. Questions, suggestions. I want to know now, starting with slide 1. Product management. Some strategies that members here already using and suggestions you may have to others and how they can be more efficient at this process. So as I said, we have a few people who have been speaking up a lot. I'm tempted to call on one that I know will not hesitate to tell me exactly how he does his, but I don't want to. I want to get others who have not been speaking up. So I'm looking for volunteers. Product management, how do you handle your product management? What is your process like? Your frequency, what that content looks like. No volunteers? Joseph, Emmanuel. No? Let me stop sharing so I can see. Oh, Ovian. Avian, sorry. Go ahead.
Hi, good morning, everybody. You guys are hearing me?
Yes.
All right, I'm enjoying your session so much. Today is a holiday and I'm here. You know, today is a holiday over in Trinidad.
Okay.
And I'm here. Well, I'm representing Planting Seeds Caribbean, right? And the way that we are an e-commerce store, right? Basically, an e-commerce platform with over 300 micro and small businesses that utilize the platform. So how do we manage products? We have a built-in tool that helps to manage the overall stock per each vendor store. So the vendor can enter themselves the minimum quantity that they would like to have, or minimum quantity that they would like to state, and they are alerted that, you know, this product, when the product hits that minimum quantity, so they can know whether they need to improve the stock, remove the stock, the product, sorry, or you know, change things up. We also have monthly analytics that our site does, analytics report. So it lets you know what were the top sellers for each particular vendor store, what were the slow sellers, that sort of stuff. So it helps the particular micro business know what is selling, what's not selling, and helps them to kind of give them that edge to know, well, maybe I need to focus on this particular product, or I can reduce the ads on another particular product that is really selling and out there. So yeah, that's my contribution. Sorry, I'm not really.
No, that makes a lot of sense, right? Because what Avian just mentioned is a number of the management topics rolled into one. She's doing product management, she's doing inventory management, she's doing analytics, because she's using an application to take care of all of these stuff for her customers or for her clients. This is exactly what we're talking about, right? It's better if you have applications in place that are taking care of this, that's making it automated. Wayne, I know, Wayne, you were the person that I was talking about when I said I was tempted to call on him, because I know he'd be happy to tell me. You are the person that I was thinking about, Wayne. And here you go. Go ahead, Wayne.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Yeah, I have a website, but I still operate because I'm not online as yet, right?
Okay.
But at the same time, I still have to make sure that I have inventory to fill all of my customers. So
wait, hold on 1 second, Wayne. When you say that you're not online, you have the website, but you're not selling products online.
Right, I'm not selling products online.
Okay,
yeah.
Great.
I'm not selling online. So I'm still, I don't want to use the word in the arcade mode, but I still do my deliveries door to door in Barbados.
Okay.
But so one, we make product on, because I have 2 helpers and they're only able to assist me on Saturdays. So Saturday basically is my production day right now.
Okay.
Right. So that's how we produce. If I am at home during the week, sometimes I will make batches myself. Of course, I'm now moving into the International Food Science Center that they have recently built here in Barbados. So in the next few weeks, I'll be actually making product there. Not sure how that will work yet, because as I said, my helpers are weekends, and the facility is only available weekdays right now. So that the logistics of that we're still working out. But then I have now basically my inventory still on paper and pen and paper. So I write down who my customers are. I know I do domestic customers. I also have commercial customers, restaurants, small food businesses, and I know what their routine usually is. So once it's coming up to the end of the month, I give them a call. I say, hey, how you doing? How was the product? Do you want to repeat? So, and that's basically how I do it at present. So that's my small way of managing my customer base, my product movement, and my time.
Excellent. See, I love it. See, that's a big contrast, right? In comparison to Planting Seeds, who have applications that manage the entire process. Wayne is still doing his by pen and paper, and he's doing it efficiently now because Wayne is at the stage where he doesn't have an influx of customers. But the challenge is now, what if Wayne does? How does he scale? How does he scale? Let's say next week, he gets a big contract. Somebody reaches out to him and say, well, we want you to now supply the hotels or these particular restaurants, and he has a higher demand. That system that Wayne's has in place may not work. So as he's in a paper and pen stage, Wayne, I would suggest you start looking at the possibility, because if you're invested in a product, that's one of the reasons I like speaking with you on this forum. You're very much invested in what you're doing. You're passionate about it, right? The energy that you put into it will pay off. And that paying off may mean a higher a greater customer base and a higher demand for your product.
Thank
you.
So
the whole management process that I talked about this morning, you have to start looking at that and saying, okay, I have to start preparing myself for a transition. I start putting these things in place, these plans in place. Right? Let's say tomorrow I reach out to you and I say, Wayne, there is a restaurant in Jamaica that wants to buy 500 bottles of your product every month. You have to have some way of engaging with me now to say, okay, Gilbert, here's the process that is going to take place. I cannot do it from next month. I can do it within the next 2 months because I have to ramp up. So the way that you engage with me now touches on your customer engagement. Now you have to look at my product. Am I going to sell Gilbert the same size products, the same labeling, same description? Yes, I have a system for that. That is in place. How I manage this larger inventory is now important. Where do I store it? Where do I warehouse it? Is it going to be a just-in-time thing? Must I manufacture them, I ship them out? Or do I need to warehouse them and consolidate my shipping for cheaper shipping? These are things that you have to think about when you're in the online business, because it tends to move fast when it begins to move. Don't wait until the last minute.
Yeah, Gilbert,
I don't know if
I said, you know, we have a hand up from Roland Benjamin whenever you're ready to take that one.
Yeah, I see Roland there. Roland is another person I was thinking about, and I didn't want to call her because we have them. We have Roland, we have Wayne, we have Sean. These are the people who speak all the time. I want others to join in. But Roland, I'm going to come to you, right? But it's important that you have that process in place. Again, I'm going to reach out. I'm going to say, Sean, this is not something I planned, guys. But just from working with this young lady over the last couple of weeks, what she offers is absolutely brilliant. And I know sometimes she second guess what she does and how she presents it. But what she offers is absolutely brilliant. Reaching out to someone like Roland and saying, okay, let's prepare for when you begin to move your products. How do we reduce the wastage before you even started creating those wastages? Part of the plan, Sean. How does that fit? How do you look at the other businesses that surround you and change their trajectory or help to improve their trajectory? And Wayne, how do you reach out to other resources and say, all right, based on all of these other things that Gilbert has listed here in my management process, what other resources do I need to tap into so that my business become more efficient? Okay, Roland, go ahead. And it's not that I not love talking to you, Roland. I love talking to you. I love your products. You know that. So let's go.
I know. Well, I have a similar situation like the gentleman that just spoke there. The thing is that I don't really have much wastage because, you know, I don't let's say mass manufacture things, you know, because of the art aspect of my operation. But however, like cutting paper and so on, cut pieces of paper, I reuse those pieces of paper to make other papers, you know. So all my waste material is on one sense being reused, you know, to put more back into production. So I would, you know, very you know, that often have a kind of waste. But on the other hand, I still do a lot, even though I have computer, I do a lot of graphics, you know, using Photoshop and Adobe and so on. But I still I have the website, but I have never launched. I have the website a lot of years now. I've sent people to it. I've never really launched it or anything. And one of the things that, you know, is that a lot of the things that I have that I have on the website, I don't have those products. And that's one of the issues that I constantly face is that, you know, in the past I made a limited amount of product. For example, I might make, let's say, 50 books or 100 books or something like that. And I would usually wait until that expire or that sells out, and then I would make a new set. But in the process of time, I've learned to change things around by still avoiding the whole aspect of mass manufacturing. You know, I don't like it because it kind of lost your authenticity and and your kind of branding, you know, thing in terms of the artistic, you know, creation. So but what I'm working on is to make enough journals and enough books and enough paper. Everything is constantly evolving, but make enough so that, you know, I would not run out. I will always have in stock. And as the stock goes out, you know, the diminish, I will constantly, you know, keep reviving and replenishing it. You know, so I learned based on what you're saying early on. I just wanted to mention, you know, that aspect of this website, that so it's like upgrading the website, but throughout the whole program, what I realized, okay, I use this wix.com, but then by Hamilton sharing and the other guys and you and the other folks sharing, I realized that most likely I might want to change to GoDaddy or something like that. And again, on the website, I have to just take out, like, except the paintings and so on, but all the journals and all these things that I have there, whether paper or handmade paper, you know, I have to revamp that whole thing because everything become obsolete at the present.
So excellent, right? So
Yes,
yeah, excellent, Roland. So again, so Roland is on the other end of the spectrum, and I like your honesty with saying that the content on your website doesn't reflect what your current inventory is. That needs to improve because it's misleading. And when you have misleading information on your website, remember your website is a representation of you. And if it isn't authentic in that, what you say you have there is what you have in stock, and it creates a trust issue, right? So a simple update to that content may say, rather than removing it, you may say, currently out of stock, working on creating new inventory. Or you let you, again, you are in a very, very, very unique business case. The fact that the way that your product, I do not see you mass producing your products. I just don't see it, right? But you let your customer know these are typically just in time stock, meaning when you place an order, I create them for you. There is some stock that I have in place, but I can do custom orders. You can do that. The other thing is another point that you make, and you should make a note of it, for your product description and on your website, talk about the fact that you have very limited wastage in your products. It is a selling point. It's a big selling point. You can, again, you can consult Shannon that because she made a statement in the chat about that. Go ahead, Roland.
One of the things that also happen, like if, for example, somebody might ask me to do a commission work of a specific of a book that they want with specific details and so on, because of the cost and the expense that is in everything that is involved, it might not be feasible just to do one book for that individual. So what I will do a series of 5.
Exactly.
But each of them would be different from the one that the customer required. So, you know, so then in a sense, I record the cost in the order for, you know, in comparison to a full-fledged piece of artwork. So at times I value it like that, so I don't actually lose anything, you know, on the project. You know, so I take that approach at times.
Brilliant. But yes, make a note, make it a part of your content management, make it a part of your product description, limited wastage. You're efficient company. Yeah, just that. Very efficient, limited wastage.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Let me have somebody from anybody from St. Vincent. No?
Good day.
Good day. Who's this? Who are we speaking with?
This is Laszlo from Pringles.
What's that?
Laszlo from Pringles Natural Flavor.
Okay, yeah. Hi, Laszlo. Go. Tell me about your product description, product management.
Okay then. So we produce stuff. Let me see. So the farmers supplier, they know that by Wednesday, if you latest, you can bring stuff, deliver stuff. Because by Friday, we don't want to have raw material and process, right? Our raw materials, we try to use everything as much as possible. We grow our own herbs, so we use the waste as compost
Nice.
to go around the herbs and the herbs. And our team go around the supermarket to check the shelves to see what they need. We try to deliver daily so that, because the supermarkets would always have our products on their shelves, so that nobody won't have to go on the shelf and see the product and pick up somebody else's own and stuff like that. If you wait to ask me, I'll tell you.
Okay, so so you're using your system is mainly manual.
Yes, but we are, you're right. And we also, well, we used to use Excel to record our data, but now we just switched over to QuickBooks. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thanks, LaFleur. So we have three, and this is the point I was making earlier, right? So far we've had Planting Seeds, which is a much bigger company who have the use of automated application to manage a lot of their processes. And the other three presenters were small micro businesses who are using manual processes, right? This entire session is predominantly for you guys for using that manual process and help guide you along the path of becoming more efficient. Time management, I know, is going to be an issue for every one of you that presented if you have an influx of customers. And how you manage that process is going to be important. So it's important that you go over these slides and apply some of the methods spoken about here. All right, so we're going to jump on to the next one, which is inventory management. And let me have somebody from Dominica. Let's talk about how you manage your inventory. Anybody from Dominica in the room? No? All right. I see, I'm gonna call a name. I see a Kivian Chester. Kivian, can you tell us what you do if any of this applies to you?
Good morning. I am actually a PSO from Guyana, so I'm just listening in on the session.
Any of your customers that you know that's on this session, or that you know that engage in any of these processes and can use, and that you could advise on, and that you could share on?
I think we have two that I'm seeing here. Maybe they can share.
Okay, wonderful.
Miss Bacchus or Miss Mar.
Not hearing you, Miss Bacchus.
Hi, good day.
Good day.
Are you hearing me? Okay.
Yeah, now we have. First, tell us what you sell. Do you have a website, and how do you go about your inventory management process?
Well, I have a stagnant website, so I'm not using that website at the moment.
Okay.
I do Facebook, and I deal directly with my customers.
Okay.
Usually, I take orders, and then I process the orders. Because my products are one of a kind, artistic products, but I'm trying to get away from doing the one of a kind artistic to more laser done products. So those are my new line that I will be implementing a QuickBook system rather than taking orders and working on them, because I will now need to have an inventory. So in order to be able to supply faster.
Okay.
But right now, I just stock a small amount that I think my customers will require. And it's very easy for me to process. Okay, my main customer will order 30 pieces. I tell them within a week, you'll get the 30 pieces and it's delivered after the week. I may have some in stock, but I don't manage a very large inventory.
Okay, I like this.
Is that
I actually,
explained?
no, it does. It does. I like where you are. You understand where you are, and you're using a system that works for you, which is great. Right.
Thank you.
As you begin to create a whole new inventory, is your plan
Mhm.
still to use Facebook as your main e-commerce outlet?
Platform?
Yes.
Well, I plan to use the various social media. I also plan to redo my website into an e-commerce site, but we were limited with doing e-commerce because of the fact that we have no credit card facilitation. The payment you will be putting yourself at risk if you go along that line. So I've never really developed that platform of e-commerce on my website. But when things have improved and more options are available to us, definitely I'll be going along that line. And I think QuickBooks is an easy way of managing inventory. So I'll do that too.
Wonderful. Thanks for that. So again, so for the others in the group, you understand that Ms. Bacchus is using QuickBooks to manage your inventory. So you use this, so you have Excel and you have QuickBooks as two tools. So it's Loeffler and Ms. Bacchus that's using and attesting to the use of those two tools. Let's go down. All right. So I want to talk about customer engagement, right? I'm talking specifically about customer engagement because I think it could be just such a creative space. How do you appeal to your customers? Not necessarily with the ads that you would have posted, not just with the ads that you would have created for social media, your flyers and that kind of stuff. But what creative ideas you have for engaging your customers? Anyone who thinks that they have a really creative idea for attracting customers that you don't mind sharing with the rest of us? And how do you measure whether it works or not? Anyone? No, no one? All right, so I'm gonna call in Jamie because I'm making a transition into the service section of the cohort. So Jamie, I know you're in telecare. How do you, what is your customer engagement process like? How do you get people to begin using your services?
Hi, good morning. We're still in our MVP stage of our business. I mean, we just launched our business late last year. So we use a lot of social media to try to engage our customers. But we are still also in the process of trying to fine tune our platform. So it's a bit limited to what we want our customers to see but when they come to us, until we really have our platform fully functional with our e-commerce options or payment options. We would go full force to marketing face-to-face, going to businesses to get customers, using different, we have a lot of pop-ups here in the country. So going to pop-up fairs to try to engage our customers, let them know about our business. Right now, it's mostly word of mouth, or what's on our Facebook page. They would learn about us, or the doctors that are using the platform, then they would send some of their patients that would like a teleconsult to use the platform.
So you engage doctors on one-on-one level and ask them to move patients your way, to send patients to your website if they see the service as being useful for that patient?
Yes,
Okay.
because see, we have two customers. We have our doctors and we have the actual patients. Since we are just a platform, like the middleman that they're going to use to connect to their patients, of course, our customers are also the doctors. So we engage the doctors. Well, my business partner is a doctor, so he has his community of doctors that uses the platform, and then those doctors go to their patients and say, okay, you know what? If you live out district, instead of coming to me today, use Telecare's platform and we can do a video consult to follow up on whatever they need. So right now, mostly that's how we're going, with the doctors using their existing patients to use the platform. And then when we get our platform 100% running, then we would, we as the platform provider would go to businesses to actually target the different clients, different customers or patients.
Wonderful. I'll give you another example of something. Like I have two friends who are fitness instructors. They look for clients at the gym and say, you're looking for clients in the wrong places. So have them partner up with a couple of gynecologists, go to the hospitals, work with the doctors in the hospital about getting patients back to full health. Pre-maternity, post-maternity patients. Great spaces for you to partner with clients who want to get in shape or who want to stay in shape before pregnancy and after a pregnancy, right? So those are the ideas where you're thinking outside of the space in which you traditionally would operate. Because as a fitness instructor, you look for people who are trying to get fit within that space. But if you move outside the space and say, okay, here's a potential space for partnership. Like as I was mentioning to Wayne, or what is the possibility of you getting your sauces into restaurants, so that it may be their own, it may be an opportunity for them to rebrand. So you sell them a white label product, which you now rebrand, but you're selling them the product. And they put in they're using your sauces in their food preparation, but they could also sell it as a separate item under their branding. Some sort of agreement we have created with that. So we're looking for, what I'm trying to find out is what are creative ways that others may have in mind and would like to pursue, or that you have pursued, if there's anything else that anyone else would like to share. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, Gilbert, that's one thing. So far, very interesting conversation, and one of the things that jumped out while you were speaking was actually on the matter of warehousing, the concept of warehousing and using your store or seeing your store as part of your warehousing effort. I was speaking to a client in the US yesterday, because we do business globally and regionally, not just in Jamaica. And one of the things that came out of the conversation was that they're noticing that Walmarts and a lot of these big chains of retail outlets are actually downsizing their footprint in setting up physical store locations. And what they've migrated to do is actually building out warehousing solutions for their business and you know, reducing the physical footprint of having set up individual locations in different cities, states, and so forth. So in a sense, instead of, you know, hearing that Walmart boasts 200 stores across the America or the United States, you know, you're hearing now that, you know, that number is significantly reducing, but instead they are building out warehouses on acres of land. I want to say acres, I mean like, you know, as far as the eyes can see. And this person was actually based in New Jersey, where there's a lot of outlet malls and warehousing solutions for these retail giants. And the main reason for this is that it's because they're driving a lot of their traffic, you know, to start driving a lot of their sales through e-commerce channels and just focusing on fulfilling. A lot of these companies are even using Amazon as their logistics partner to deliver goods that are even sold on their own website, because Amazon has done such a great job of getting products to persons. And I say this because in the Caribbean, you can always see what's coming by watching what is happening in the US. You know, generally, anything in the US is happening from a technology perspective. Normally, you can give it minimum 5 years, maximum 10 to get here in the Caribbean, you know. Now, of course, the US market is a much larger market, so warehousing at that scale is much more realistic from a efficiency and operational perspective. But regardless, us as Caribbean entrepreneurs, when we're looking at our physical business place, setting up physical businesses, a key thing that we need to look at, because generally when we set up our physical space, we think about, you know, the walk-in traffic and, you know, how many persons we can support at that physical business place. What I want us to challenge us to do is to actually look at leveraging that physical business space, maybe to accommodate less walk-in traffic, but to focus more so on using the space, of course, to have a showcase of your products, but to leave a lot of the real estate for warehousing, so that you can sell these products to a much wider market while not having to find a separate location to store the goods and services. So, you know, it's a simple difference between having a restaurant where there's a dining option and there's a restaurant where there's a pickup. You know, there's a small front office, a small front area dedicated to accommodating that quick turnaround, while there's a lot of real estate in the back to support the operations and support. I challenge persons to consider this, as this is something that I believe is coming. Even as Amazon tries to penetrate the Caribbean, there are already stakeholders out here who are looking at warehousing solutions to support logistics, better logistics management, and just helping customers who are looking at e-commerce as one of their main sales channels to be able to help them to scale. So for those of us who actually have physical locations or are looking at acquiring physical locations, you know, our markets are fairly small in our respective countries. Jamaica is one of the largest Caribbean islands, and we're just 3 million persons. In the Americas, this is just like one city or a fraction of a city, right? And when we think about where our sales are going to be coming from in the next 10 years, yes, it's going to be coming from some of our immediate jurisdictions. But as the demand for Caribbean-based products increase globally, we have to look at how are we positioning and structuring ourselves to meet that demand and to just be more efficient at selling. At the end of the day, the best thing that e-commerce does for us, gives us the ability to sell to anywhere without having to actually have that footprint or set up physically in those spaces. We need to be positioning ourselves from now to take advantage of this opportunity.
All right, great point, Leighton. So Cathy, Wayne, Roxanne, give me a second, Wayne, I'll get back to you. So you have Cathy up before you, and we have Roxanne to follow. But just to follow up with what Leighton is saying, this is something that has been in the works for quite a while, right? So if you have a storefront, it's the city of the future and how we increase efficiencies. So rather than having a massive storefront, you reduce the size of that footprint and you carry sample of your products. So again, we go to Cathy and her dresses, like say she has a massive boutique, but rather than bring in all 100 pieces of a particular style that she would have made, and then she have, that's just one style, and she have another 100 styles, just reduce the size of her storefront, carry maybe 5 or 6 pieces of each within that storefront. So her footprint is much smaller, but the rest of her products are located in her warehouse, and her warehouse could be her home. It could be a room in her home. And somebody walks in, the foot traffic walks in, they say that I like this dress. Say, all right, so you could have it at home by the time you get home. Pay here, and we will ship one. If you want this particular one in the store, there's an additional 5% cost for having it in the store, because now my rent for that storefront is higher. I want to drive that warehousing aspect that Leighton was saying. So I charge you a premium for buying it on the spot, but you can have it delivered to you today, tomorrow, in the next 2 days from my warehouse at a reduced cost because it's cheaper. Right? These are strategies for driving that change in our environment, change in our economy, change in how I structure my business, change in how I process orders. All right, Cathy, go ahead, please. Cathy Ann, sorry.
That's fine, thanks. Good afternoon again. From what you just said, I have been querying in terms of delivery as well, because there's a new systems that is in our island where you can put your items in a click box. And if you tell your customer, give the customer the code, all they have to do is go then and collect the item from there. So that is something that I'm actually looking into now. However, what I wanted, sorry.
Go ahead.
Right, what I wanted to query is something you said to Wayne not long ago in terms of a white label item. From what I understand then, does it mean then that he would create the item, but don't put his label on it, but the person can market it as theirs?
Yep.
Oh.
Yep.
Because what happened is that on 2 occasions someone did that. They asked if I can make the garment, but don't put on my label. And I was hesitant because I was querying then, so how would I get out there? How would people know that this is my product? But from what you're saying, that is a fine to go ahead with.
It is fine, right? But you have to make sure you have all the legal documents in place. What amount of royalties are you expecting from this product? Because it's still yours. At the end of the day, it is your product. So although you're putting this product out there, you need to make sure that you're getting the returns, right? It's like you take it, so you have to make sure you're getting royalties. You have to say, well, and every one of these sales that you make, I want 20%.
Okay.
So there are mechanisms in place for you to do something like that. You have to be very careful in legal terms.
Let me jump in on that one as well, Gilbert. So white labeling is a business model that helps manufacturers or producers of products to find customers that they would not ordinarily find. So at the end of the day, the reason why you would do this is because this person will go out there and market your product, sell it as their own, and of course you earn from whatever they pay you per product. But one of the key things that you want to be very careful about is protecting yourself legally, especially against copycats. It is very common for persons who are in this business of reselling persons' products to try to reproduce it for themselves and sell it as their own cut out or to remove that overhead cost of paying your royalties or paying you a cost for every time you know they buy that product from you. At the end of the day, when they start out, it's gonna seem very clear cut, very attractive and so forth, and it may continue to be so. But as your brand grows and you want to define your style and associate with your brand name, you want to be able to prevent persons from copying the style. Now, this is where it becomes very tricky because, as we know, depending on the type of product, sometimes it's difficult to say this is mine and mine only. Somebody can come with something similar, or maybe it's just a tweak of the same product. You know, how do you set up yourself in a way that allows you to maintain control over the product and the brand association? So that's one key thing to look out for. I encourage white labeling where the controls can be put in place. The end of the day, the reality is that if this person don't choose you, they're gonna choose somebody else because they're in the business of reselling. So they're looking for a solution to resell, you know. But from a you know, your copywriting and whatever things that you can whatever intellectual property that you can protect related to your product, you want to keep it. Also, keep your secret ingredient secret. So if let's use the example of Wayne where he's making sauces, and it's not easy to reproduce a food item if you don't know what goes into it or what the secret sauce is to make it nice. Up to now, we still don't know what the Colonel put in the KFC chicken. Yes, as much as it is being sold globally. So that's something that we have to be very mindful of when we are enter into these types of arrangements. All right?
Okay, fantastic. This is a very, very good point, right? Protecting that intellectual property is really important. Again, and Kathy, and if you have to make sure that doing this aligns with your business objective. If you're trying to build a brand, I would not suggest you go down that road. If your focus is on building a particular brand that's closely associated with you, that may not be the road that you want to take. If your goal is just moving products, I produce, I sell, I want to live a particular lifestyle, and what's important to me is that money, then fine. But if your goal, make sure that your business goal aligns with that. All right, Wayne, go ahead.
Hi, you guys spot on with this information. I just love it. But going back to something that you mentioned, Gilbert, with the restaurants, I just wanted to say that there's a popular tourist attraction here in Barbados, and what they do every month, they buy my product in both the commercial side and the domestic side. What they do, they use the large gallons in their restaurants, but the small bottles, when people use it at the restaurant, they ask, hey, this sauce is nice, where can I get it? And then they direct those persons to their retail outlet, and they can actually purchase the product and take it back. So that's one of the ways. I don't know if to say it's creative, but that's one of the ways that I actually push the product. There's also another restaurant, they have the actual name Auntie Phyllis on their menu. So when they're serving you their style chicken, you know what sauce you're getting with that chicken.
Excellent. Excellent, Wayne. Jamie.
Yes, I wanted to ask a question based on that white labeling. Right now, we have our providers using the platform on a one-to-one basis. But a goal that we have as well is to promote using our platform and like installing it in a brick and mortar established clinic. So they're like a clinic can say, okay, coming to us, you can use, and let's say we dub website, but under their clinic's name. So they're using our platform as their background, but it's going to be like their patients are using their website under their clinic's name. Would that be like a white labeling?
Yes, it's a brilliant idea too, Jamie. But you have, again, just like we said to Wayne, you have some background noise.
Sorry.
Yeah. So just like we said to Wayne, right? You have to make sure with something like this, rather if it's a cloud-based application. So you're not going to their computers or installing anything per se. I much prefer cloud-based applications being white labeled. But if it is that you have to do an application is going to be installed, that works as well, and it's branded, but you maintain full control of your application, your source codes, all of that stuff. Do not share that if you do not white label.
Yes, our thing is that we would be like their management company in the process.
Wonderful.
So, and then we also, in the doctor side, we have a service agreement where it's, in a contract, when they sign on to be on the platform, they are unable to then use any of our background processes as their own to bypass our business. Because it is a cloud-based platform, but we have, say, maybe 3 or 4 connecting businesses to APIs to make one unit. So a clinic or a doctor gets one unit, but on our end, we are using 3 or 4 different cloud-based platforms. So our service agreement does have that they aren't allowed to go directly to these other platforms to then bypass us.
Yeah, that's a very good. This is very good strategy. All right, it's a good strategy for getting your business out there. And again, that marketing that Leighton was talking about, that is now being done by a third-party entity, and you're reaping the benefits of that. Right? And there's so much avenues, there's so much revenue channels that you can create by doing this with this particular application.
That's a quick question there. That's a quick question there, though, Jamie. Are you charging significantly more for a white label version as opposed if they went on your own platform?
Yes, it would be more a managerial cost as opposed to a service percentage. Right now, or medical providers will give us a percentage of each of their consults. In terms of the white labeling option, then we would charge the clinic managerial costs to be able to basically manage the platform on their behalf.
But their branding is put on it.
Yes, so they would. So a patient would say, go to for example, for us, medical health clinic and use our platform to do all of their stuff, but it would never say telecare. It would say medical health. So we would then charge them like an entire managerial price to be able to then use our platform in their clinic.
Yeah, there's a lot of room for negotiations in that space. This is stuff that we have done on several levels. So you can, if there's payment processing being done through that platform, which is tied into your payment system, you can still charge a commission plus management fees, right? If you have, and then it can be branded by them, but you can say powered by telecare. If again, so there's room for negotiating the deal too, so that you leave no money on the table, as we speak about all the time.
Right, that's a strong point, Gilbert, because that was actually my initial concern, because I was thinking, so I am involved in a similar telemedicine business here in Jamaica, and the platform that we developed supports the entire ecosystem. So from a doctor to a clinic, hospital, everybody who participates, ambulance services, and so forth. And one of the things that we have to be very careful about, guys, when we're white labeling, is to ensure that we're also protecting our own revenue. You understand? So if it is that a lot of these platforms that we build, especially telemedicine, marketplace solutions, are geared towards driving recurring revenue. We don't want to compromise that recurring revenue for, and when I say recurring revenue, I mean transactional revenue. So for every single time somebody uses the platform, you benefit from that sale. what I would expect from a management cost is that there's maybe like a monthly fee, significant monthly fee that persons pay. And sometimes that significant monthly fee can be way more than what you would earn from those transactional costs adding up. If not, then you need to ensure that maybe there's a piece of those transactional costs that you are collecting as well. So you can choose to do a flat monthly fee every single month if that's okay with you. You make it significant, or you can make the monthly fee be a little bit. It's not going to be the same fee as if they were taking the normal service from them, but you know, something that is worth the effort, but also allows you to earn from the transactional nature of the platform. Why is this important? Because at the end of the day, guys, your customer today is going to be a different customer 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and you want to grow your sales as the customer is growing. You could choose to say that, all right, I'm charging a monthly management fee of $2,000 per month for 1,000 transactions per month, for argument's sake. And if it reaches to 2,000, so you do a tiered pricing structure where, you know, you are always able to increase your pricing to them as they are doing better while using your platform. You get me? That can be one method where we have a tiered management fee structure, or you can have an element of it that allows you to have that flat fee plus earn from every transaction.
One of the things we were toying along that line is we would see, since my business partner has that knowledge of a clinic, how it functions, how much consults you can get out throughout the day's working hours. We were toying with a flat management fee within a certain amount of patients, but the minute they jump that patient, then we would get an additional percentage per consult.
That's another way as well. So your management fee covers a certain volume, and then after that volume, you earn per patient. So, you know, and again, it comes back down to pricing tolerance and what the market that you're operating in is will tolerate. You can also again look at how other suppliers that they would, competing suppliers that they would have had to go to, that they would have had to go to. How would they price them and ensure that your pricing is either in line or competitive at least? You know, I say you can use the management fee and play with it, meaning that you can make it fairly low to seem attractive, but earn from, you know, from commission, or you can make it high and make it tiered, where you pay for a certain amount of consults per month and so forth. You know, it comes back down to your pricing tolerance and also what you're up against. You know, because if I'm using a system that works for me right now that costs $5,000 per month, and you position something to me where I am paying maybe say $2,000 per month, and then for a certain amount, and then when I get to a certain number, I pay a per consult fee. That still has me say at the end of the game, maybe I'm now at $4,000. Then I'll jump. You understand? But if the pricing does not compete well, then we have to find a way. But the greatest thing, guys, Jamie, for you is that you have full flexibility over how you price to be competitive. You understand? If you can try one way today, it doesn't work, you can try another way tomorrow, you can try another way next month. You can try making tweaks and tweaks and tweaks until you find a sweet spot that works both for you and for your customer.
Thank you.
Thanks, Leighton. So could I have a show of hands of anyone who is in the service industry besides Shan? I know Jamie is in the service industry. Besides Shan and Jamie, could you guys show your hands, anyone who's in the service industry? Marcia? Anyone else? Joseph? Marcia, Joseph. All right, Marcia, could you jump in and tell us about your business and how has this platform, how has that session, these sessions met your expectation or not met your expectations, and how can we better serve you?
Okay, good morning, everyone.
Tell me about your business first, Marcia.
Okay, I'm Marcia from Jamaica. I am in the embryonic state of the just started last year. And it's an educational service that is offered students, like an after-school program, and it focuses in 2 different areas: assessment and customized program. Currently, I don't have any online presence, and I do my enrollment through referrals. That's through friends who are in the education system, the maybe principals and parents. I do my customer engagements like through WhatsApp, email, and send them surveys and thank you. I use a learning software to help assist with the program. So that will help me to understand like the enrollment number, the analysis that is taking place with the students' performance, and like payments and records. I do those through pen and paper. I need software management systems based on learning from the program as to how to position myself for the inflow. Because what is currently happening is like I'm studying now, so I really don't have much time to drive the business as I should, but I've been writing down a lot of ideas and learning a lot through this program. So that's where I'm at.
How do you engage the students? If this is all online, how do you engage with the students?
As I would have said now, when I communicate like with principals and they are doing the enrollment of a child within their school, they will normally send them up for assessment through my program. And that will determine like the grade levels the children are at and if they are learning gaps and what those are specifically. And from there, I can offer based on their interests. I can offer customized program to teach those students, or if the school wishes to continue the classes with them, then the learning where that I use, I give them access to that software, and then they will pay like a flat rate to me in order to monitor that system. So I would do the administrative work, like giving reports and the analysis of the students' performance and all that.
So this all takes place physically. So the students actually have to come to your physical location for their assessment online.
Online.
Right. So that's why I'm asking. So what platform do you use to engage your students online? Is it Zoom?
Yes, Zoom.
Oh, you use Zoom. And the assessment is question and answers. So you ask the student questions. Is there a testing process? How does that take place?
Okay, that is where the learning software is being used.
Okay. Okay. And that learning software integrates with Zoom?
I am the one who monitors it. I do it a two-way format. It's a strategy that I use. So when I share the screen with the questions and they give me the response, I am the one who press that submit button because they only have access to the question through a code. I am the administrator for the program. So each child would only enter the program with a code in which I am the one who gives that code. So if a child has an appointment for a 9 o'clock assessment, I would have already entered them in the system. I use that code to bring up that student portfolio and then share the screen. They answer the question. I put in the submission. When it is through, I write that report based on the analysis that comes out and then submit it.
Excellent. It sounds like a business that has exponential potential for growth. What's the name of the platform that you use for the learning management?
Pardon me, using all these terms, I'm really new into this thing. Are you referring to?
Yeah, the course management platform that you say logging to. What's the name of that platform?
Excel Learning Company.
Okay. I was checking to see if it was like a Google Classroom or anything like that. Okay.
No.
Okay. I know the Jamaican ministry migrated to Google Blackboard or Classroom during COVID, so I was checking to see if that was what you were using.
No.
Okay.
Yeah. A lot of potential for growth here, Marcia. Is there anything that you wanted to ask us, any advice that you need on any aspect of this that we have not answered throughout this courses yet? As I said, we have not focused a whole lot on the service industry, and I want to give you that space so that you could raise your concerns, your queries, and ask for advice.
Well, to be truthful, I was just going through my notes and said I really need to reach out to Leighton in order to get some guidance, because since I started your program here, I've been jotting down a lot of questions. So I think I need to just really speak to Leighton and get some more clarity and guidance. And from there, yeah.
Excellent. All right. So you could set up something with Leighton or set it up through you guys at Carrier Export, see what's available there. But definitely reach out to him, because as I said, this has significant potential and growth capacity. Yeah, it's great.
Thank you.
So still let you know, I'm just gonna paste my number in the chat here. 59, I can always WhatsApp me as well.
All right, thank you.
There are quite a few persons in the group who reached out to me for different initiatives. Feel free.
I think the other person who had their hands up is Joseph Emmanuel. If you still want to say something along this line.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Well, my business, basically the brand is Pix World. It has different sub businesses under it. I am trying to get
One second, Joseph. Could you repeat that, because I didn't get you clearly?
The head of the business name is Pix World. So it has micro businesses under it.
Okay.
So it has Pix World Photography, where the service is videography and photography. There's also Pix World Exotic Swimwear. It's like a white business where I buy from overseas and I resell here.
Okay. Where are you located?
St. Vincent.
Oh, St. Vincent. Okay.
I also have a wig line that is coming online. It hasn't fully operational as yet, but it's getting there.
Okay, so I'll ask you the same question that I asked Marcia. Is there anything that we have glossed over as it relates to your business that you need to have addressed? As a service business, how can we help you more?
So basically what I do, when you give the information, I basically sit down and look at the information and try to incorporate as much as possible into the business that I have.
Oh, brilliant. All right, I like that. But again, if there's anything else, feel free to reach out if it doesn't relate quite as well. Because as I said, I understand that there has been a bias, and there's a bias in the way that e-commerce is perceived in just about any space at all. It tends to be related to more retail or wholesale goods, when there is so much aspect of it it's actually service related. The biggest portions of e-commerce, the biggest drivers of e-commerce is service related industries. All right, but we tend to overlook that when we start talking about, when we develop programs like these. And I realize that there has been a bias, and I want to address that. So anyone else here who runs a service industry related business, please speak up and let's see how we can address the issues. Okay, so I'm going to jump on some feedback that we got this week. Let me try and pull up my email now to go through those. All right. This one is from TNT Chambers of Commerce. For companies that are further along in the e-commerce process. Leo, do you want to just tell us, or so that everyone knows what we're talking about, or do you want me to read the email? Is Leo here today? I'm sure.
No, I don't think that she's on the call.
Oh wow, it's typically don't miss. All right, so let me read the email, and some of the issues that she raised might be in alignment with issues that others are having. So we're just going to address them in this space. For companies which are further along in the e-commerce process, i.e. already have an e-commerce plan, website, store, etc., we'll be doing a breakout room session that can discuss. I think Philip addressed this earlier, something that would address the challenges of companies in marketing their e-commerce platform, easier use and functionality of payment gateway, reports and analysis, and SEO. I think Philip addressed that we would be doing a breakout session. Details to come. Second point, service providers are interested in differentiating how e-commerce processes work for them as opposed to manufacturers, traders of products. Okay, so I think that's the same point I was just addressing, right? So service providers and me addressing you in this space, asking if there's anything that we would have glossed over that is more pertinent to your business or your business model that we could address in a much better way. The third point is clarification on the goal and purpose of the third-party marketplaces, such as Planting Seeds and Shop Carib. While it is understood that these platforms are an additional way of getting products to market, it seems as though these platforms are being pushed as a critical component of VEAP program itself. This is a challenge for companies who have their own websites and would like to focus on driving traffic to their own websites. Additionally, service providers do not see the benefit of using the platforms as it does not fit their business model. For the clarity on this will be helpful to understand the benefits, etc. Well, the focus is not on pushing these the marketplaces that we presented in this space. All right. If you already have a website and you need additional support in that, Leighton presented his services as an option. If you're looking to build your individual websites as well, Leighton presented his services as an option as well. So there are options for you to reach out to Leighton or for you to reach out to Philip so that Philip could engage Leighton and some of your potential projects. So no, it's not a critical component. What is critical to the VEAP program is success stories, right? And one of the easiest way for you to move from being a strictly brick and mortar space to doing online or e-commerce sales is by using a platform. So for instance, a number of you that have spoken this morning, don't have a website, or if you do, it's not a fully functioning website. So how do we move from not having a website to actually do an e-commerce sale, or having a website that isn't functioning to do an e-commerce sale? One of the easiest ways on a marketplace, all right? Because a lot of the hand-holding, a lot of the tools that we ask you to put in place already exist there. Inventory management, supply chain management, product management, sales management, customer engagement. A lot of those tools exist in marketplaces. So it allows you to move relatively quickly and in a very efficient manner from brick and mortar to doing online sales. That's one of the reasons that Philip was pushing marketplaces or retail marketplaces within the region. The focus on Caribbean-based e-commerce spaces or marketplaces is important because, as you were saying, we are trying to build solutions that best suits us. right, that brings benefit, economic and otherwise, to the region. So there's no bias, there's no hidden agenda about pushing any of these particular marketplaces. We're looking for success stories. Success stories help to improve this program, helps to have the funding continue so that we could help other companies do the same thing, right? And some of those, that success story lies in moving you from just being brick and mortar to doing online sales. A fourth point, participants require more time to complete and come up to date with the workbook's requirements. Given the confusion as to what components actually make up the workbook, completion rates were low, and participants are now trying to catch up. Get that? We had that those response last week. So again, we're going to reiterate that it's not about accuracy. It's about you understanding what the processes are that we have taught over the last couple of weeks and months. So you don't need to list, if you're selling 100 items, you don't need to list 100 items, right? We need to demonstrate that you that you understand what we're trying to impart. And if you don't, that we go over those processes until you do.
Just to add to that as well, Gilbert, guys, if remember this with even as one product, and understand where your workbook exercises are concerned. The key thing is to leave you guys with a blueprint. That's one of the other objectives of the VEAP program, to leave you guys with a blueprint for success that you can rinse and repeat. So if it is that you are a large business or you have a lot of products that you sell, you can use one product to focus on. Maybe it is your number one product. And just focus on doing the workbook exercise with that one product. And at least it gives you a clear idea as to what it takes to map out your e-commerce blueprint for your business and execute it in your own way. You know, you don't have to do this for your entire business. As I mentioned here before, I have participated in a similar program like this where even 3 years after, I'm still implementing lessons or ideologies or concepts that were learned in a program. Like you won't get every single thing correct overnight. That's not how business works. What we want to do is to set you on a path for success and to ensure that the time spent here is optimized and everybody understands exactly how to apply themselves to the workbook. So yes, we do understand that you know, there were some challenges and hurdles that we had to get over in the beginning. So persons may be behind, but please, just if it is that you find yourself in that position, you can start by focusing on one product, right? You don't need to put and also it is and why I say this as well is that we have persons in the program at different stages in their business. You have some of us who have gone the whole 9 yards of selling online already, and we're now looking to scale up. I have some of us who are still at the ideation phase. For those of us who are at the ideation phase, conceptualize one product. You understand? For those who are big businesses, use one product, right? Use one product, get it right, and then you can rinse and repeat. Back to you, right?
Thanks for that input, Leighton. We also had some comments coming in from Anonymous, and I have one from Jamie as well. First one is, I've just realized that I have missed 2 workbooks, 2 and 3. I apologize as I do these, as I thought these were more for internal use and not for submitting. I've just completed workbook 2, but realized that because of my company right now is 100% service-based, online medical, I guess both comments are from Jamie. Material or shipping costs, our PAS business is a niche one, and our competitors would be brick and mortar clinics. I'm a bit lost and confused on how to proceed with it. Could you explain that further, Jamie?
That workbook has to do with, I think it was the sales price. Let me bring it up. So I didn't really know, they had a sheet there with competitive prices and how to put our raw materials, the cost of our raw materials, to be able to then price or product per se. But because we are service-based, I'm not sure how, our raw materials is our platforms, but it's not that we're going to have a single cost for each consult. It's like one big or cost to use for different platforms within the system. And then that then powers the consulter, the scheduling for these consults. So how do I then segment? Okay, it's not like I have a consult and then it takes these raw materials to build that consult. It's like one big balloon, and then you have all the consults being able to go through the platform. In the example, they had like preparing a purse, and then you have your thread, you have your cloth, you have all the individual materials that went into building this one purse. But I don't have that, so I was confused and hope to fill it out.
Right, and this is exactly what I was talking about when we gloss over the service industry. But think of your raw material as your resources, right? They are your resources in your space. These will be the people responsible for maintaining your platform. What is the maintenance cost for your platform? What is the operational cost for your platform? There are costs associated with what the business that you do. And you're right, it's difficult to apply these costs to or to create a price per customer or per client based on these costs. These costs are just a guideline. At least it tells you your bottom line. It says, this is my cost and I need to cover my costs on a monthly basis. Now, the maintenance of the platform may be more expensive, maybe more. You may be operating at a loss as you grow your business. But at least you fully comprehend what your bottom lines are, what your overall cost is. So as you grow, you know exactly when you've reached your break-even point, and you know when you begin to make a profit. You can start doing projections based on what your your bottom line cost is on a monthly basis. So I know my monthly cost of operation is $1,000, right? So I know I need, based on my customer base and based on my cost, I know I charge each of my client $100, but I know I only have 5 customers, so I'm making $500. So I know I'm making a loss of $500. But based on the rate at which I'm acquiring clients, I can hit my break-even point in the next 6 months. And then I could see significant growth in the next 12 to 18 months. So understanding what your bottom line is, what your bottom line cost is what this spreadsheet would do for you. Just swap out your thread and your cloth and your needles and all of that additional stuff for the different professional services that you may need in order to maintain your website or your platform.
So for example,
right?
I'm sorry, no. See,
No, go ahead.
We know we did like an ABC costing separately, so we know what our entire cost would be to maintain the platform, and we know on a macro level how much consults we need to have to be able to, with, of course, we did separately. We did, okay, or if we only have consults where the providers are paying a percentage for each consult, we know how much consults we need to have for the month to be able to sustain the platform for that month. We did another scenario in case for the instance where if we go and white label to a clinic, so we know a price that we would need to set for that clinic, for us to run that clinic for the month. So we more or less know a price that we would need to provide them so that we can sustain the platform for the month. But I can't tell you on a micro level the cost of that one consult. We know it on a macro level, saying, okay, I need 500 consults for the month to be able to know, to be able to break even. If I want a 10% profit, I need this amount of consults. If I want a 30% profits, then I need to have this amount of consult. But I can't tell you, okay, my one consult that will earn me, say, $18 is costing me $5 because we did it on a macro level. Now, how do I break it down to that micro level to be able to fit it into this Excel and submit? That's where I'm a little bit at a loss.
That's actually pretty easy to achieve. What you would do is that you would add up all your operational costs that it takes you. So if let's say, there are 3 costs to consider. There's the CapEx, the investment cost to build up the platform. There's the operational cost to keep the platform going. And then there's the cost of goods sold. So for every single time you sell a consultation, what does it cost you to sell that single consultation? What you would do is that you would look at the cost overall that you incur to sell those consultations per month. So let's say, for instance, you're looking at to sell each consultation, maybe you need an administrative person to manage the platform and respond to person's queries. Let's use the example of you managing the platform for the scenario of you managing the platform on behalf of the clinic, right? There are some resources that you need to put in to complete every single sale. Whilst you may not be able to track every single activity or have a budget for, maybe it is that you don't employ the person maybe on an hourly rate or on a per booking rate, but you engage them on a month. So you pay the person monthly to manage the system, and from that system we must get out 500 consults from that system, right? To get your cost of goods sold, what you would do is that you would divide that overall expense for every that you need to incur every single time to complete each transaction, and divided by the number of transactions that allows you to itemize what your total, what your individual cost for each transaction will come up to. So you total all the resources that you need to use to close these consults, and that's going to be your cost of goods sold, because this is associated with every single sale. We're not talking about your server costs. We're not talking about your accounting costs to keep the business running. We're talking about the cost that you incur, the resources that you use every single time a sale is completed. And you're going to divide that by the total number of sales that you expect to get each month or that you get each month. And that will help you to identify your cost of goods sold for every single item you sell.
But that is still on a full operating cost level. So for example, in the ABC costing that we did, I had the administrative costs, I had utilities, I had the marketing, I had software tech. I had, yes, sorry. So
all of those are operating costs. Those are not cost of goods related costs.
So I would lump all of that on a whole. So I would say, okay, because that's where I thought, for example, here under technology, for example, in the, I think it was a costing and base pricing Excel. It had raw materials. So you had your thread, your cloth, and so forth. So for technology, we have the cost of running the entire platform for a month. And yes, I know if it cost us, say, $5,000 to run the platform, and we need 500 consults, I'm going to take 500 consults divided by that amount, and I'm going to get the cost of what one consult would be. But it's a total of the technology cost. It won't be a total. It won't be a breakdown of each technology that I use for my platform. Is that how I'm supposed to fill this Excel, where I'm just taking the macro cost of the technology as opposed to breaking down the technology, the different technologies that I use?
The only way you break down the technology is if it is, you only need that technology every single time you sell the product. So if, let's say, for instance, your platform is your technology. Let's keep it simple. Your platform is your technology, and that is all you need to sell the product every single time. You don't need to reference a patient record system. You don't need to reference a video conferencing tool that adds an additional cost for every single time you use it, or you're just using your platform. Then you would divide your platform cost by the total number of transactions. That would help you to identify what your cost of goods sold. If it is that maybe, let's say, for instance, you have your platform plus you have to have an administrator, then you add the administrative cost to the platform cost and divide it by the total number of goods sold, right? At the end of the day, guys, remember the document that follows up on the pricing is your financial projections. Your financial projections need to be able to outline your total revenue, the total number of expenses that are associated with earning revenue. So if every single time I sell this one thing, I incur this one cost, we need to incur that and we get the gross profit, right? That is what you're trying to ascertain from this exercise, understanding what your gross profit is before you start to remove your operational costs. This is where you are able to play around with your pricing and say, all right, for me to make a profit of say 10,000 USD at the end of this month, I need to at least come out of the sale with a gross profit of a 60% margin that maybe say gives me say $6,000 per month. I said no, 6,000 is too low. Let's say $60,000 per month for argument's sake. And then your operating costs will remove the additional stuff that bring it down to 10,000. At the end of the day, what we're trying to say is that understanding your cost of goods sold, meaning that what it costs you to sell every single item, helps you to be able to do all of these projections. So to be able to do that, what you want to do is look at what is involved every single time you sell one product. You add up all those costs and you divide it by your by the number of transactions. Now, in the case of your platform, I don't believe the platform would be the best item to use for your cost of goods sold. Why? Because the platform is there and it is operating right throughout. It's a single thing that you need generally to run the business. So it's just like, think about your platform like your office space, right? Your office space is a space. Let's say you were in the medical space, and let's say you had a medical practice, whether it's a doctor, clinic, whatever it is. That office space is constantly there, regardless of whether or not you see 10 patients or you see 100 patients. You understand? If it is that you find yourself in a position where there are no additional costs to close a sale outside of your office space, then you have no cost of goods. There's no expense that you incur, or maybe it is that you have an administrative person who has to support the sales process. In that case, your platform becomes your operating expense, and your administrative person contributes towards your cost of goods sold expense, because the administrator is needed every single time a product is sold. In the case of the platform, I said, treat the platform like your office space. Whether 10 people come into there or 100 people come into there, that cost remains the same. What we are looking for when it comes to identifying cost of goods sold are the things that are needed every single time you sell a product. So let's say, for instance, you are in the space. Let's say you got into medical, let's say you got into medical supplies, for argument's sake, or pharmacy supplies. Let's say every single time the doctor saw somebody, they prescribe a Panadol tablet to that customer, and you were responsible for providing that Panadol tablet. Then the cost for that Panadol tablet will become part of your cost of goods. You understand? Which would need to be itemized for every single sale. Your platform is there regardless of whether you sell 10 items or 100 items. So to be able to identify your transactional costs, you have to be able to see like that. So there are some instances in that when there's no cost of goods sold, you have a platform. The platform has a capacity to service any amount of persons. There's absolutely no additional thing that you have to do to close a sale. Then what you end up with is 100% gross profit. There are those possibilities as well, right? Of course, if you're running ads and all those things, advertising, again, that goes on down into your operational cost, because you run the ads, whether you get 10 people or 100 people, the cost for running the ads is the same. You understand? So you have to look at it from a perspective of what resources do I need to provide, or what resources do I need to provide the service every single time somebody buys. So for example, if you are collecting credit card payments, let's use this example. This is a perfect example. If you are collecting credit card payment as part of your sales process, every single time a customer buys from your platform, you will incur a service charge from your credit card service provider of anywhere from 3% up to 5-6%. That's a part of your cost of goods. So because every single time, if you sell 10 items versus if you sell 100 items, that cost scales automatically with every single sale. That's a part of your cost of goods. So you look at those types of expenses that are aligned with making every single sale. I hope that was a lot clearer to you, Jamie.
Yes and no. I think yes and no, because in our instance, our service is the platform. It's our business platform as a service. So without my platform, I have no business.
Right.
In my business, it incorporates the scheduling process. So if we don't have that scheduling component, a patient cannot make a schedule. So for us, it costs the entire operating.
One question: do you incur a cost every single time you have to schedule a unique cost?
We incur a cost to every time we put a provider on the platform. So it's based on certain things, it's based on provider, certain things it's based on a patient. So
I see where the complexity lies. I think you need to sit down with your BSO to identify what are your operational costs and what are your cost of goods. That would help you to narrow down how to come up with that number.
I think Andrea hit the nail on the head when she was talking about your capital expenditure as opposed to your operational expenditure. Your operational expenditure would always go towards your cost of goods sold, right? So you've invested a significant amount of money building your platform. And over a period of time, you would have to calculate what is the return on investment on this platform that I built. That is not to be calculated in your cost of goods sold. What you operate in operational capital is your OPEX. Operational expenditure goes into your cost of goods. And you always, if you're running an e-commerce company or something that is online, you always have a cost of goods sold because that requires electricity. So you have electrical bill that comes every month. That requires, as Andrea was pointing out, security. There's always something being calculated on a daily, monthly basis when you're operating an e-commerce website. I see Andrea have her hands up, limited time. But Andrea, go ahead, take it away.
Okay, thank you very much. 1 second, please.
DJ Andrea.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, so I understand where you're coming from, Leighton. However, in accounting, there's a concept, a principle that will never go away. And there are many, but one is the principle of matching costs, matching. So for every single item of revenue, there is a source, an expenditure. Unless you're an NGO, this is what separates a profit-making entity from an NGO. If there is no cost, then it becomes a grant, and even the tax people levy significant scrutiny for a profit enterprise, naked enterprise, to not abide by the matching concept. So they may not call it what it will, but it needs to match, right? So the level of effort to generate the income, every dollar matters. So I understand the complexity as it relates to a platform, an intangible per se. But you need to calculate, which is why people have these accounting policies. What's your chosen policy as it relates to revenue generation as a result of the investment in your technology-based products, fixed products, or for example, your platform? You need to determine, so it lasts, you're going to have to do a pivot, a total restructuring. Is it 3 years, 5 years? When do you need to do away with that version and come with another one? This one, how long does it last? What's your chosen estimated maximum, not optimum, but maximum life
for your platform. How many persons can go on it before you find it slowing down or getting closer to obsolescence? When do you, how many people have to be added to the platform before you see it slowing down or before you see the need to change or to upgrade? That's that number that it can carry. And say you make it more realistic because there are other factors that can drive sales and may not cause you to hit that figure, and so on and so forth. Then that's the unit price. It's the same principle with depreciation, where there is a theory that says that for every asset that we own in our business, we have to prepare to replace it because it gets used and worn each time, and each dollar matters. It's not a dreamt up figure. It's a real concept in business that is often ignored. So I'm saying that you do have those costs that you need to consider and play around with the numbers and, you know, create the formula and play around with it on Excel with your accountant or your BSO and make it happen and follow it. You balance business and accounting with that whole platform, but you do need to work that out. And what portion, so it starts as a business table, all the inputs that go into delivering that service. No numbers yet, just every single bit of energy and resource that goes into it. So the cashier may also be have another job. But what percentage of that time goes into generating a sale when they are supporting the process? And what's the unit rate for that? So that's what I'm saying, that you must have the direct costs. The difference between the cost of goods sold line item and the ones below is that this one is directly related to the sale. Without these costs, the sales don't exist. That's all it says. You can choose not to buy stationery. You can choose not to rent an office, but you certainly must have the tech lab where you actually spend time fixing the software. You choose not to call it an office if you want, but that lab time must be costed. Whether you borrow it from yourself, rent it formally, or otherwise, it must be costed.
Thanks, Andrea.
The fee to have it done too. The fee to do it because there's a person behind it. There are all these things, the consultation, the phone calls. They become that portion that relates to delivering the service itself becomes non-admin and becomes a direct cost. Some of us have to split our bills, our regular admin bills in two. Because you say that the phone bill in your sales office is a direct cost, as opposed to in your service department is a direct cost versus the other phone bills, which is admin. So that's my 2 cents.
That's brilliant. That was really, really good. It's a matter of understanding the difference in those two costs, right? So Jamie, I know we are out of time already for this week. So think about it. We're gonna be here next week, same time, same place. And if the question wasn't properly answered, we can pick it up at the start of next week's session. Hopefully we have something that is better laid out that I could present to you on what the difference in the capital expenditure and the operational expenditures are and how differently they affect your product pricing and how differently they affect accounting at the end of the day, right?
The accounting, I understand thoroughly. My background is finance, so I understand the whole finance section of it. That part of the, I mean, even there, I understand the cost accounting to an extent because, of course, my concentration is finance, but I understand the cost accounting to an extent. I'm just trying to figure out how I can put it in your Excel in a way that you have it broken down here but I'll ponder on it some more and I'll figure it out, and I'll get it in. It's just gonna take me a little time to really try to work it out.
All right, I appreciate the effort. I really do. But let's not split hairs over this. Don't bust your skull over this, thinking too hard about it. All right. As long as you understand what the process is like, as I said earlier in the session, that's really, really important. You understand what needs to be done. That's exactly why it's challenging you to actually have it done. You understand how it's done on a retail product-based session. Product? Yes.
That's what I said, Jamie. Not to break it. I said, Jamie, take it one product at a time. Start with just one product. And maybe that will help you see it a lot more simply, because again, when we're running complex business with multiple products, sharing same resources, it can become quite a technical undertaking. So maybe look at it starting with just one product, and maybe that will help you to see a lot clearer.
All right. Thanks again, guys, for coming up for another brilliant week. Any questions, any feedback? Same process applies. Ramona and Philip will field those and forward them to us. Make sure that we address them in next week's session. Next week, I will open up with a brief session on logistics, and then Nathan will take it from there. So again, looking forward to see you guys next week. Thanks.
Thank you.
Have a great rest of the week. Bye-bye.
I appreciate the centering on the service area today. The last session when it was more product. Yeah, the last session when it was more product and inventory oriented, I kind of like glossed over, but today was very informative. Thank you so much.
All right, take care. Bye.